we got Nazim Sadykhov versus Torres Ziam. Now, I got to be honest. This is the fight that I am the most, scared for. My boy Nazim Sadykhov. I'm a huge Nazim Sadykhov fan. That is my guy. So I'm a bit worried for him in the spot. I'm not going to lie. And I'm biased. I will say, for this fight, I'm extremely biased. I'm not really a huge Torres Ziam fan, but I'm a huge Nazim Sadykhov fan. I love Nazim Sadykhov. That's my dog. So I'm a bit biased for him here. However, I will say, I'm worried for him in the spot. Biases aside, the pick's probably going to be Torres Ziam. Nazim Sadykhov, I love him because he's such a dog. He'll never give up on himself. He's going to make every fight fun. He's willing to stand and bang. He's willing to make it ugly. He'll make every fight a bar fight. He's not afraid of shit. He's tough as nails, tough as could be. I love Nazim Sadykhov, but in this spot, I think it's going to be a bit tricky for him. We've seen in his recent fights, he's had struggle even on the feet against guys who are not a high-level striker or not as high of a level striker, like a Nicholas Mata, who I still put respect on him. Nick Mata, he's grown on me. I will say he's grown on me over time in terms of his skill set. He's better than I originally thought he was, especially after that fight when he fought against Nazim Sadykhov. He looked pretty damn good early on before he got finished. But it's we've seen him struggle. We've seen Nazim Sadykhov struggle against very technical guys who might not be willing to make fights a bar brawl. We've seen moments like that before. Even fights against a Nick Mata who's willing to stand and bang, make fights ugly. We've seen lapses in his defensive striking where he's been hit at times, and I know he has a really high guard. He's a bit stationary, he's just kind of keep walking you down. And against Torres Ziam, I just don't know if that's going to work. The main holes that we've seen in Torres Ziam throughout the years have really been his grappling. We know he's a striker at heart. He's a kickboxer. He wants to keep it on the feet. That's where he likes to be. However, in recent fights, we've seen his grappling has developed quite a bit. He's gone against guys, high-level guys we can bring over, like guys like Mike Davis, who really sleeper of a fighter. Pretty underrated. Mike Davis is a very high-level guy. He's well-rounded everywhere. And Mike Davis, he pulled guard 4 times within the first 2 minutes of that fight. You want to know why? Because he did not want to keep it on the feet. I don't know what was up with him in that spot. He looked pretty damn terrible in that fight. And Mike Davis is a good fighter, so I don't know. Maybe that was just an outlier for him. Maybe it was an off day. I don't know. But the fact that he did not want to keep it on the feet against a guy like Torres Ziam does worry me, because we already know. We saw too with Torres Ziam in that spot. His grappling and his scrambles looked really good. Because who did he get submitted by? Yeah, Terrance McKinney. This was years ago, 2022. It looked pretty rough. It was not a good spot. He got submitted very quickly. What was it? 2 minutes in the first round. But since then, even against guys like Matt Frevola, say what you want to get about Matt Frevola, not the highest level guy, has chin problems. However, Matt Frevola does have very high level wrestling. We've seen he trains with guys like Merab and Aljo. He's training with guys with some of the best wrestling and grappling on planet Earth. So Matt Frevola's grappling and wrestling is respectable. So the fact that Torres Ziam was able to keep it very competitive with guys like Matt Frevola and Mike Davis in the grappling makes me think he can probably do the exact same against Nazim Sadykhov. And on the feet, it's just, I don't know how Nazim Sadykhov is going to have a ton of success. I want him to. In my perfect world, Nazim Sadykhov comes out here, walks Torres Ziam down, round 1 knockout, starches his ass out cold. That would be my dream scenario here. Nothing against Torres Ziam. I'm just a big Nazim Sadykhov fan. It's just, I don't know how exactly he's going to do that. He's coming into the spot with a 6-inch reach disadvantage, and that's going to play a huge role in terms of how the striking is going to go. Now, he is a southpaw going against the orthodox fighter, so he'll have a little bit more tricky cards up his sleeve that'll help him out a bit. I just worry about the overall reach disadvantage. It's going to be a problem for him. Even his fight against Ismail Bonfim, that fight got stopped early, round 1, because he basically quit on the stool. So I don't really know how that fight would have gone if it would have gone longer. But even against guys like Visha Borsov, who is a boxer, who is not, I don't want to disrespect Slava Claus, not the highest level of competition. Still a dog, absolute beast, absolute dog, but we've seen holes before with the striking that they give me some worry against a guy like Torres Ziam, who really is a pretty damn good striker. He's pretty damn talented. We could see his run in the UFC so far, 7-2, very respectable from a guy, especially this young too, 28 years old. We're going to see him get better and better, so I'm biased in the spot, and I want to pick Nazim Sadykhov so damn bad. I just feel like Torres Ziam is probably going to be able to have his way with the range. He's probably going to be the trickier striker, more accurate at range. We even see defensively, because their accuracy is about the same, but defensively, he's much more defensively sound compared to Nazim Sadykhov. So I do have my worries. I feel like the best way for Nazim Sadykhov to win this fight would be trying to just grapple like crazy. Maybe he can just use his raw strength to kind of use manpower to outdo Torres Ziam. Maybe he can work him against the clinch, make it ugly. And he needs to be walking them down. We've seen from Torres Ziam, he's a decent, yeah, he can counter strike pretty decently, but he needs to just make this ugly. If this is like a technical back and forth kickboxing match for 15 minutes, Nazim Sadykhov's really going to be at a huge disadvantage. But if he can walk him down, be the aggressor, kind of push forward, go throw caution to the wind and just walk him down and not respect anything coming back his way, I think Nazim Sadykhov could have a good shot in this. It's just a matter of if that'll happen. So, not super confident. My heart is telling me Nazim Sadykhov, but my brain is saying Fares Ziam likely gets it done. So, I guess I got to pick Fares Ziam ever so slightly. But Nazim Sadykhov is my boy. I'm going to be rooting for Nazim Sadykhov. I'm hoping he gets the job done, but